Remember, training is about getting 1% better every day. If you get 1% better every single day, are you going to be 365% better? No, it's actually closer to 3,000, because every percent better you get every single day, it compounds and compounds and compounds and compounds. And so if you can just get 1% better every day and identify where in the sale it went wrong, or where you could have improved, or maybe here's why you may have lost this deal, or here's why you won this deal. Don't forget to listen to the sales that you've won too. Why did you win that deal? You should be able to say, was that a laydown? What tactic did you employ? You should know why. If you don't know why you won the deals you won, you won't be able to replicate that success. People are attracted to the sales profession because of one thing: money, financial freedom. Maybe you are interested in career sales, or maybe you've just gotten your start in sales and you just watched the movie The Wolf on Wall Street, or maybe you watched Mad Men, or maybe you got hit by an Instagram reel of some 22-year-old kid with a hot girlfriend driving a Mercedes-Benz, talking about how he's made $100,000 in commission this month and now he's rich, and that caught your attention. And now you're thinking, man, I want to do that. I want to get in that industry. I want to make a lot of money. Well, let me tell you something. Sales can be a very, very lucrative career. I've been very blessed to get into the sales role. I went from making like $15 an hour as a shipping clerk to now I can provide my wife the ability to stay home, and I don't have to worry about all these bills that could become crushing. While I'm not exactly where I want to be in the end, I still have a lot more ambition. I've been blessed to be able to provide my wife the ability to stay home. So whether it's you want to make $1 million, you want to provide a life for your wife to stay home, you want to move along the journey, sales can be a very, very great career. But on the other hand, it can be a nightmare. And sales has a lot of high turnover because it's a lot more complicated than people think. And it's a lot harder to get people to give you their money, right? People just have this kind of funny thing. They don't like to give their money to people, right? They don't like to give their money away. And our job as sales reps is to connect with potential buyers, right? Get them to give us money in exchange for whatever product or service we offer. That's our job. Connect with people, get them to buy whatever we're selling, get them to trade money for whatever they offer we have. That is our job. It's pretty simple in theory and in explanation, but in execution, it's very difficult. And so sales, you will see a lot of high turnover. People every day are joining new opportunities, they're joining new agencies, they're getting new jobs, and they're finding that it is way harder than they thought. So how do we survive our first year? Because let me tell you something. Sales is about survival before it is about thriving. If you can survive long enough in your career, you will get to a point where you are good. But how do we do that for our first year? That's what I'm going to talk about. And so to give you some parameters around this video, I am going to assume that you know nothing about sales. I'm going to assume when we say first year, I'm going to assume you didn't sell Girl Scout cookies when you were a kid. You weren't a missionary on mission knocking on doors. I'm going to assume this is raw, your first year in sales. You haven't done anything like this before, whether you are 18 years old or 45 years old or however, okay? And so we're going to talk about surviving the first year of sales. Let's go. So rule number one, and this might seem a little bit not related to sales, but trust me, it is, and it is something that does not get talked about enough. And that is the first thing you should have before you even enter your career in sales is a firm internal understanding of financial responsibility. There are reps that you will see who make hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, but they're broke because they spend it all. Because sales it attracts very materialistic people. People want to be in sales because of money. There's really no other reason to want to be in sales other than the fact that you have a lot of ambition to make a lot of money. And with that ambition to make a lot of money comes a lot of greed and comes a lot of materialism. And that is a trap that you need to avoid, because when you go and you start working in sales, you will see people who are driving the nicest cars and they live in the nicest houses and they wear name brands and designer brands and they have designer bags and they buy their girlfriend name rings and jewelry and all these things, and they pay for their kids to be in the best school programs, and you are going to get tempted with a desire to meet the Joneses. Avoid that like the plague, because I'm telling you, a lot of people who talk about how much money they make in sales are broke, because it's not about how much money you can make, it's about how much money you can keep. And if you try to keep up with the Joneses, you are going to get deeper and deeper into credit card debt, and then you are going to get desperate. And desperation is the weakest position upon which someone can build a sales career. You'll learn in sales that you need to be able to be detached from any sale. You can't do that if you are so desperate for this person to buy, because if they don't buy, it means you're not eating for a week, you're not paying rent, and you're not going to be able to pay your car bill. That's a real thing. We call that commission breath. So having a firm understanding of financial responsibility before you get in, and having the ability to have the faith in yourself that you are committing yourself this year to this career in sales, and that you are not where everybody else is, but you are on your way there, is going to be the best discipline you can enact getting into sales. So number one, and again, I will say this for context, I am not a licensed CPA. These suggestions are in no means like it's supposed to be an authoritative piece of advice. I'm just giving you very general things you can learn off of Google. Number one recommendation would be, if you can, build up 3 to 6 months of savings of your monthly expenses and have that in a savings account. Build an emergency fund, okay? Have something, because you will, even when you get really good, you will have bad months. It happens to everyone. Okay. So if you have savings and you have the ability to make your essential bills, which is your food, your shelter, and your transportation, if you can cover those 3 bills, you have everything that you need, right? So 3 to 6 months of savings is what I recommend. Number 2, and this will apply especially if you are a commission only, make sure you pay your taxes. Whatever commission you get, talk to your local, you got to talk to a CPA to get the right exact number percentage wise. Whatever percentage you need to take out of your commission and put into a savings account, do that. Do not get screwed at the end of the year by taxes. Okay. I would recommend that if you are young enough and if you can live with your parents for a year without paying rent, you should do that. Because again, this first year, you're not make $1 million your first year. You might not even break 50K. Okay. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. Unless you're a prodigy, which again, I'm assuming you're not, okay, this first year is going to be a tough year, and that's necessary. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing your first year of sales while you're building your skill set and your understanding of the market to get a side hustle like a DoorDash, an Uber Eats, an Uber, an Instacart, something like that to make sure you are fed. Okay. I know that by saying that, every manager and every upline in the country is screaming at the top of their lungs. But the reality is, especially the first 1 to 3 months in sales, you're gonna suck, and that's okay. It's something we all have to go through. The amount of prodigies that do well in their first 3 months is very rare. And again, a lot of people who could have been good sales reps find themselves pursuing another career, because at the end of the day, the number one thing that pushes people out of sales isn't mean prospects, isn't deals missed. It's rent not covered. And so if you can, if you don't have the ability or you don't have enough money to put aside 3 to 6 months before you get into the sales role, and you're doing it on solely commission, there's no salary, it is perfectly okay to sacrifice 3 hours a day, Monday through Thursday, and then maybe 5 hours on Friday night and 5 hours on Saturday night to do a DoorDash, to do an Uber Eats, to do an Uber driving. So that way you can supply your essential needs and stay in the game. Because I'd rather you be in the game for 3 months where you have time to get good than sacrifice 3 hours, spend that extra 3 hours their first couple of months trying to make a deal happen. Because there is a good possibility that month 1 of your first month in sales, you don't make a commission. And month 2, you might not make a commission. Month 3, you should start making some money, but it won't be much. Month 4, same 5, maybe same 6, you should start seeing benefits. That is a real possibility. There is absolutely no shame. Again, you are not at the level where you are ready to be making buying Chanel bags for your girlfriend or for yourself, or buying a Mercedes Benz. And even if you are doing well, and even if you can break $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month in your first couple months, I still would recommend you put that into savings. You may not have to do the whole DoorDash thing, but again, there's no shame. Okay. That's the number one thing you gotta know. Financial responsibility. Build up your savings, pay your taxes. If you gotta get a side hustle to cover it, do that. If you gotta live with mom and dad, do that. If you gotta live with 5 guys in an apartment building, do that. If you have an opportunity to get a salary role, you don't have to feel ashamed of that. Having a salary-based role that has less commission might be good for you your first year, because then you can really develop your game, develop your sales game, and then maybe transition into something else when you're ready. Okay? No shame in any of that. And then lastly, make sure you're investing. Make sure that when you start doing well, let's say month 4, month 5, month 6, month 7, when you start to actually have that success, put money away in investings. Again, I'm not a licensed CPA, but again, there's Roth IRAs that max out at $6,000 a year. That's $500 a month. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. But if you can stay consistent investing in a Roth IRA that earns anywhere from 13 to 15%, I think the calculation is like in the millions of dollars. So that's a very simple thing. I know you're going to get hit with everybody telling you this is stupid and that is stupid, and you should be investing in tax liens or whatever. And maybe all that stuff is good. Again, I'm not a CPA. Okay. But fundamental financial responsibility will take you further in this career, because you will not have the same desperation. And let me tell you something about desperation. Desperation is the worst emotional framework to try to close sales, because your prospects can sense it. Jordan Belfort talks about sales, that it's a transfer of emotion. And he's right. It's a transfer of emotion. And if you are anxious and you are desperate, not because you don't trust in your product, not because you don't trust in your company, but because if you don't get this commission check, you're not eating, and maybe you're homeless, they will feel that. So be financially responsible. I'm saying this as someone who's a little bit older, maybe to someone who's a little bit younger, that I wish I was more financially responsible younger in age. And I've had to catch up with my own failures. So that's a big one. Whether you get into sales or not, I think that is very valuable. So now let's get more so into specific sales content. The number 2 thing that you really need is you need to give 100% of yourself to this career for your first year. For your first year, there will be no time out with friends. There will be no going to family vacations. There will be nothing. If you can take this year and dedicate yourself to your career, it will compound in massive ways. If you get good at sales, the richest people in the world are all salesmen. So if you take this first year that you were in sales and you dedicate yourselves fully to sales, I'm going to get to the office at 6 a.m. I'm going to work from 6 to 6. Maybe if I'm doing that side hustle, I DoorDash from 7 to 12, but whatever. But if you take your life and you dedicate this year to getting good at it, I'm telling you the benefits are astronomically high. Dedicate yourself. Give up, sacrifice time with friends, sacrifice hooking up with girls, sacrifice going on vacations. Obviously, I don't know every single element of your lives. If you've got a sick dad that lives a state away, maybe go see him. But in general, my point is, if you can dedicate yourself fully, your mind, your desires, to get really good at this, in a year, you can become a real savage in this industry, whatever industry it is. Number 3, in order to get good at sales, you need to have massive outputs of volume. Volume is the only thing you bring to the table, because you don't know a lot about how to convince people. And honestly, you probably don't know a lot about your product, but you can't wait until you know every single thing about your product. It's not, you got to make money. So you're going to have to act and make the dials, send the emails, knock on the doors, send the DMs. You should be the person that is making the most calls out of anybody on the team, sending the most emails, sending the most tasks, sending letters, doing whatever you can. Because the reality is, if you're not good and you want to get really good, you have to close the gap here to get better. And the only reason you close that gap is more volume of effort. Okay? That's it. We'll talk about training in a second, because I think it's essential, but I would much rather you spend all of your time calling people and trying to get 1% better every single day at the cold calling, at the door knocking, at the emails, at the DMs, than you watching even this video. I would much prefer you to really dedicate yourself to skills. And that is why I believe that I got really good at sales, is because I sucked so bad. But the reality was, is I outcalled everyone. I outworked everyone. I would get up at 4 a.m. and send 50 emails before anybody even got into the office. I would make by 4 p.m. I would make 120 dials. I already got 120 no's. And I didn't have the skills that other people had. People got successful way sooner than me. That's fine. But once I did that volume, I understood how and why I was closing deals. And that's the level you want to get on, and that only comes from volume. But number two, there's another reason why volume is good, and that's something we call the laydown. A laydown is when you come across a lead or prospect that's pretty much pre-sold already, and so the conversation is super simple. It's almost like they like by the time you even get to your pitch, they're already giving you their credit card and they're already buying. It's like they were just so ready to buy. They were just waiting on someone to call them. And I've had laydown sales that were $1,000. I've had laydown sales that were like $25,000. It's a real thing. And every sale that you will make probably in your first 3 months of selling, maybe 3 to 6 months of selling, will be laydowns. You will, if you keep the volume up, you will catch people that are just ready to buy right then and there, and you will get paid. There's a statistic that says, 10% of people never buy and 10% of people always buy. It's the 80% that we got to learn how to sell to. And I think that's real. But as you're learning to grow your numbers in that 80% of people who are always on the fence, you will catch those 10%ers who are just going to give you money for your product or service. It's really insane. It happens all the time. So that is another thing. Volume. Be the guy who is making the most calls. Be the guy who is sending the most emails. Be the guy who is sending the most DMs. Be the guy who's knocking on the most doors. That is essential to your growth in sales. Number 4, training. Training comes in a lot of different forms. Training is about a couple of things. Number 1, if your company provides a script, learn your company's script. Okay? If you are fortunate enough to work for a company that provides a script, you should really learn the script. You should memorize it. You should really make it a part of who you are. Because I'm just gonna make an assumption. Odds are your company, if they're providing a script, they're probably not idiots. Right? Most companies don't provide scripts, but if they're providing scripts, they're probably not idiots. They probably put thought into the script, and they probably worked with a third party to really use the script. And if you don't know anything about sales, you don't know if the quality of your script is good or bad or not. Am I saying there's not bad scripts out there? Yeah, no, there's definitely bad scripts out there, but you don't know that right now. You don't have the experience to know if it's bad or not. And so before you start judging the script of your company, you need to at least use it 200 times. And if you use it 200 times and you're noticing you're having 30% and maybe there's things you can get better, then you can start working with other people to kind of see where you can get better. And by the way, I do offer help reviewing scripts and improving those things. So if you need that help, I have my email posted down below in the description notes. Feel free to send me an email. We'll get something connected and we'll kind of do that. So number 1, learn your script. Number 2, read good books. But more importantly, listen to good audiobooks. I believe that for sales, it's better to listen to audiobooks than to read audiobooks, especially when the author is also the reader. Because in sales, we're talking, we're listening, and you're going to pick up on things that the author of the book is reading through it, because you're going to pick up on their tonalities. Because when they're reading through it, they're going to think back to a real time in which they utilize whatever tactic they're giving you, and they're going to go back into whatever cadence they had when they were in that moment. And you will pick up on that. You will pick up on those things. So learning your script, listening to good audiobooks, right? Those can be real. Listen to your call recordings. Listen to your call recordings. Go back and listen. Even now, when I listen to my calls, I'm like, oh my God, I spoke way too fast to that person. Oh God, they said this and I totally didn't hear them. And I didn't even address it. I went too quickly into my pitch. Oh God, that was closable. I just dropped the ball. It happens to me even now when I listen to my call recordings. It's depressing sometimes. But it's good to listen to your calls. Remember, training is about getting 1% better every day. If you get 1% better every single day, are you going to be 365% better? No, it's actually closer to 3,000, because every percent better you get every single day, it compounds and compounds and compounds and compounds. And so if you can just get 1% better every day and identify where in the sale it went wrong, or where you could have improved, or maybe here's why you may have lost this deal, or here's why you won this deal. Don't forget to listen to the sales that you've won too. Why did you win that deal? You should be able to say, was that a lay down? What tactic did you employ? You should know why. If you don't know why you won the deals you won, you won't be able to replicate that success. So you should listen to your calls. Also, in this period, when it is your first year, you should be doing role plays. And if your upline or your manager is not willing to role play with you, that's a red flag. That's a real red flag. Because what I found happens if you are responsible for all phases of the sale, right? If you are responsible for setting your own appointments, pitching your own demos, closing your own deals, and servicing your own customers, in the beginning of your first year, if you're not role playing, you only get good at the first part of the sale. You get really good at the opener because you keep getting the immediate resistance objections of, I'm not interested, we already have a vendor. So you eventually learn how to get good at that, right? You learn how to deal with those kind of objections. But then, like, once you get past that, you haven't had the same amount of reps in discovery and pitching and closing deals. And so now you spent your first 3 months getting really good at your opener, but now you get to your pitch and you suck because this is your first time really repping this, right? And then when you get to objections, you start to fold because you haven't been in this territory before. It's unfamiliar territory to you. But if you are role playing every stage of the sale, so you role play your opening, you role play your discovery questions, you role play your pitch, you role play your ask for the sale, you role play objection handling, you role play re-asking for the sale. If you role play all of that, then by the time you get an opportunity to pitch, this isn't unfamiliar territory to you. If you get into a time to answer objections, this is not unfamiliar territory for you. You've been here before. You have experience in this. Even if it's not with a prospect, it was with your upline or coworker or whomever, you now have the knowledge on how to handle this because you've been here before. And don't do role playing where it's always you're going to get the win. Do some role playing where it's hard. Ask your upline, give me some hard objections, push me, make me better. Ask your manager, make me better. And number two, when people role play, it feels a little awkward, right? You feel a little corny. You feel like we're back in acting class. Like I used to take drama when I was in school. This just feels kind of weird. Well, it is weird. This whole thing of selling is weird. This is super awkward. This whole thing is super awkward. I am calling someone that I don't know, I have no connection with, I have no past experience with, and I'm asking them to trust me with their money so I can exchange whatever value, and to trust that the value of what I'm saying is actually real and can actually help them, and they're going to give me money for it. And people do it every single day and make millions of dollars doing it. This whole thing is weird. So if you feel weird role playing, you will feel weird on your calls and in your meetings and in your pitches and in your closes. So getting that weirdness out of it and getting comfortable with the weird is essential. I forget who said it. I heard this from somewhere, and I'm not going to be able to credit. I think Austin Butler said it. He said, embarrassment is a emotion very, very undiscovered. It's very underexplored. Embarrassment is an emotion that is very underexplored. I'm botching it, but that's the point. It's going to be awkward, okay? It's always awkward. And if you are self-conscious in your role playing, you will be self-conscious in your sales. And again, like I said earlier, whatever emotions you are feeling in that time, you are going to pass that along to your prospect or to your lead or to whoever you're trying to pitch to. And it can cost you the sale. So role playing is essential. So training, again, if you have a script, master your script. If you need help, if you do not have a script and you need someone to help you build a script, I have my email down below. We can get you help. Number two, read good books. Listen to good audiobooks. You got to listen to a lot of books to find out what really works for you. I can make some recommendations, but listen to good books. Listen to good audio. Watch good YouTube. Watch live calls. Make sure they're not fake. But watch live calls. Watch how people kind of interact with customers. Watch what's real. Number three is listen to your own calls. Make sure that you are listening to your own calls because you can make sure you're analyzing it. Maybe listen to it with your manager. Maybe listen to it with your upline. I'm more than willing to listen to calls with you as well as part of my consultation packages. If you'll have me, I'm more than willing to do that as well. Listen to those calls and try to find the things that you can do 1% better. Lastly, role play. Make sure you are learning each stage of the sale, so that way when you get there and you get the opportunity to be there, you're fine. And just for the record too, all those things I mentioned, I offer all of that in my consultation package. Once again, send me an email to my email below. We'll get you kind of see what we can get you scheduled and get you the help that we need. We're running a program right now where you can get 5 training sessions from me for $500. Literally, that's half off. Go ahead and send me an email down below. I'll be more than willing to help you any step of the way. So those are really the main essential things, right? Being financially responsible, dedicating your life temporarily to this career at the moment, being the guy who pushes the volume and out training people. And that is what I did when I first got into sales, except the financial responsibility part. But for the most part, those are the things I did. And that's really what has led me to become a top closer in a good amount of industries and commodities and in all of these things. I highly recommend that to you. I highly recommend that you do this. We're with you. We have a school community that I also will link down below. We'd love to have you join it. We'd love to have you part of it. If you have questions, you can reach me. That's the best way to really reach me and get me. But yeah, that's kind of essentially it, guys. I mean, this career can be amazing for you. It can be open up all kinds of doors, but you have to survive. And hopefully we've given you enough in this video to help you survive. With that said, keep selling. Have a good night.